How you doing, everyone? It's Kevin. I'm back with another video. A gentleman by the name of Frank Carrere, I think I'm saying this right, I hope I am, Jr. He actually asked me how I got my knives so shiny. So, Frank, I'm going to show you how I got my knives shiny, and trust me, I am by no means professional at doing these knives. So, I'll do my best to show you what sandpapers I use and what steps that I do. Now, this was a knife that I had forged a while back. Actually, I forget what number knife it was. It might be 6 or something. And I thought that it had a crack in right where the handle goes on to the blade, and it doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and make this knife for my granddaughter. So I'm going to get it all shaped up. Actually, I've been working on it a little bit, and I started off with a 40 grit sandpaper. And I just got the knife shaped out what I want it to look like. So we got a 40 grit sandpaper going over this knife so far. I'm going to change over to the 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to run it. Now, one thing you got to realize is it takes me an awful long time with this 1x30 belt sander that I'd gotten from Harbor Freight. But it works, and we use what we got. That's what we got, that's what we use. So, and I know, Frank, you got the 2x72 inch belt sander that you made yourself in your shop, which I love the video that you made for me. It's a very good video. Don't ever think that you can't make a video. I mean, everybody's nervous when they first start making the YouTube videos, but after a while you get used to it. If you look at the very first one I made, you couldn't even hear my volume. So there's a big difference. You just got to get used to it, and I think you did a fine job on the video. And by the way, if anybody wants to see the sander that he made, just look up there. Right there it is. Look at that. You can go to his channel there and check out the sander that he had made, which is pretty interesting to me because I'm going to be making one. Probably when it gets a little bit cooler out, so I can get in my garage. It's very hot in my garage, so once it gets a little cooler, I'm going to get out here. We'll make a 2x72 inch sander, and I'll do a video of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the 80 grit on this thing. Like I said, first step was 40. We're going to 80 now. This is what the knife looks like. It's basically the same shape knife that I have been making. I will start making different ones. But I do want to let everybody know that the next knife that I've made is already spoken for. The gentleman contacted me. He wanted the next knife that I made, and he will get the next knife that I make. But he can't have this one. This one here is going to my granddaughter. Now, Frank, I'll let you know that I don't... I really don't have a special place I've been getting my sanding wheels or sanding belts. I've been picking them up at Harbor Freight, and that's about it. I mean, I really don't have any special place to get them right now, but that was a 40 grit, and we're going to switch over to the 80 grit, and I get these 2 in a pack. I get them 2 in a pack, so we'll go ahead and get started on this sandpaper here on the knife. And like I said, I just used a 40 just to kind of get the shape of the knife there and get it close. And I use my homemade jigs when I'm doing this. So I don't know if you have jigs for your sander made yet, but I use these jigs and it kind of keeps me straight on my knife. Now, I don't worry too much about the handle. You can see the forge marks in there yet. I got a lot of forge. And as far as I'm concerned, those don't really all have to come out because the handle's going to go on there. And it's going to give it a little rough texture for the epoxy to stick to. So, I'm okay there. So, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing set up. And we're going to go ahead with the 80 grit. Now on my sander, I have to pull this metal down a lot. So a lot of times I'll only go across it one time and then I'll pull it off. Okay, now I switched over to there's 150 grit on here. And that's the finest I have. So I had a 40, an 80, and now 150. After I get done with this belt here, all the rest of it I will do by hand. And it's very time consuming. So I'm going to go ahead and get the 150 done. Okay, I got the 120 on this knife. It's sanded down about as good as I can get it. So I have 220 sandpaper here, and then I'll go from 220 to 320, then I'll go from 320 to 400, and then 400 to 600. And that'll be my, the 600 will be my finished, and then I'll buff it. So I don't know if any of you guys out there have seen my sandpaper cutter, but if you haven't, you got to get yourself, you got to make one of these. It really works nice for the sandpaper. Now this is emery cloth and it cuts it really nice. So it's just, you can look at my video, it's just a sandpaper cutter. Check it out, make yourself one. It works great for this type of work right here. So we're going to get 4 pieces of this paper, and I'm going to 220, 320, 400, and 600. And then we'll buffer. So now it's just, everything I'm going to be doing now is all by hand. I mean, that's just the way I did it. I mean, every knife I've made so far, I've sat down with a piece of sandpaper and I set like this and I just keep sanding. Now once I have all the, you can see the scratch marks in here from the 120. What I want to do is I want to get it down to where all I see is the scratch marks from the 220. And this is how I'll do it right here. I'll set and do this for probably several hours. Now, if I had a big sander to where I had some more blades or some more sandpaper, like if I had 220, and I'm sure you can buy all these down. I just haven't done it because I really would like to get that 2 by 72 inch sander. And I will make one. It's just a matter of time. I've been gathering wheels up. I got wheels, these come off of a skateboard, and I actually bought a couple of them, different sizes. I might even build another 1 by 30, but I'd build one that's got some power. You ain't gonna stop it, but I would really like to have that 2 by 72, and eventually I will get it. It's just a matter of time. So, now this might take a few minutes to get this sanded down, so we'll get you back here when I get this all down to 220. Okay, I've been sanding on this for probably 45 minutes with just 220, but I don't know if you could see. It's hard to see, but there's little lines in here where the 150 sandpaper, it made little lines, and I'm going this way with the 220, and what I'm trying to do is, if you hold it to the light, you can look at an angle and you can just see, if you look at an angle, you can just see them lines. So there's no use in me going down to 320 until I get all these lines out, because right now we got 120 lines in there, so we're going to have to keep working with the 220 to get the 120 lines out. Then we'll work our way down to the 320.
Alright, I got the 220. I'm done with the 220. I got almost all the lines out of it. So now I'm going to start with the 320. I'll use 320. And I'll sand it until I get all the lines out of there from the 220. So that's my next step.
Alright, now I got the 320s all sanded down, and all you can see is the scratches pretty much from the 320 in there. So now I'm going to use 400. So we're going to work our way down. Alright, I went ahead and did the 400 on there. I took my time, and like I said, I just try to watch the scratches that are in it and try to get all the scratches from the other sandpaper out. So now I'm going to use 600. I'll use 600 sandpaper. And then after the 600, we'll work our way up to the buffer. That'll really put the shine to it. Alright, I'm done with the 600 sandpaper. Now you can still see scratches in there a little bit. I mean, you're probably not going to get absolutely every single one out, but I think it's ready for the buffer. Now, you guys probably, whoever's watching this video, I hope you've seen the buffer. I did a video on the buffer in the little box. It came from Harbor Freight, and then I'm not sure where I got this compound from. Now, I either got it from Harbor Freight or I got it from Sears, and I'm not sure. It says polish and compound. It says green. Compound is used for high polish finish on copper, brass, stainless steel, and steel. So that was the only compound I've been using on these knives. So, and the only thing I do is I just, now if you can, try to keep your wheels covered up. You don't want to try to get any, like if you're grinding and stuff in there and little flakes of metal, like when you're using your sander and stuff, will get in here and scratch your knife. So that you got to be careful with. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on that wheel, and then I'm going to buff up the knife. Gotta be careful with that wheel. If it catches the edge of it, it'll flip it around. Now you can see that side. That's the side I didn't really buff yet. And that's the other side that I have buffed. So it has a very good shine to it. And that's basically how I get the shine on that knife. So, and I'll tell you, I'll be right back. Now, I like to use a little bit of Mother's cleaner wax on this when I'm done with it, and it kind of protects it. It keeps it from rusting, because you know this is a leaf spring, so it's going to rust unless you can protect it in some way. And I just use a little bit of that. Same, it's car wax is basically all it is, and then I'll clean it up again. and then I'll have a nice shiny knife. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. Once this dries a little bit more, it'll shine up pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other side finished up. You know, it amazes me every time I do one of these knives just to think that this thing right here was this thing right here. That's just a piece of leaf spring. But it's amazing that you could do something like that. Now there's the shine. I'll try to get a little bit of light on it so you can get a good view of it. Oh, it does shine nice. And I did put a little bit of that mother's wax on there to protect it a little bit. So I think it turned out really nice. Well, that's how I get to shine on this blade. Frank, I hope that helped you out there. And buddy, I want to tell you, I think you're doing a great job on your videos. Keep up the good work. This knife will be, I'm going to give this to my granddaughter. I'm going to do another video on the handle. And this handle has to have some kind of pink in it. And I'm going to figure that out, and then I'll get a video made of it and show you the handle. And then I will be building a sheath for this. This will be the first sheath I ever made. I haven't really messed with any leather too much at all so far. But I have just about everything I need to start building sheaths. And I'm going to build a sheath for this knife for my granddaughter. I'd like to tell everybody thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave me thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment if you'd like. Till next time.